Welcome to Look Around Florida. Sean will be with you in a minute.
Good day, gentlemen and ladies. Happy Shalwen. This is Look Around Florida. I got Carl Jones. He's in the background right now. So, as soon as we get more people joining the chat saying they're here and all that stuff, we'll get the program rocking and rolling. Uh, so, yeah, let me get this out of the way so I don't get myself in trouble. Disclaimer, guys. So, as soon as we get some people, we got one person watching, watching on YouTube. So as soon as we get more people in the chat, we'll continue on with the program. So we're gonna just shoot the shit and go wild. Hey, Linda and Roy, good to see you. Good to see the JJ Dickerson camp in the chat. Linda, Roy, I got registration form. I'll be mailing that out to you shortly. Cameron, how you been, buddy? Good to see you. Exactly. Happy Shalwen. You guys can say Halloween, but I'm staying with my Celtic roots. Hey, Jeffro. Yeah, I got Carl in the background. He'll be coming up here shortly. So as soon as we get more people chatting, we'll bring Carl Jones up so he can give us an update on the AOT, see what's going on there, and some recruitment ideas. You know, while struggling, but we can all do better. So, I keep hitting the wrong button. Ready. We're up to 4 people now. Sweet. 3 on Facebook and 1 on YouTube. Don't forget, you can look at some of our past videos. They are saved on YouTube. So you'll be able to use it in your camp emails. That way it gives our members and our brothers and sisters up to date info. What's going on with the Florida SCV and the Florida OCR? Carl likes to be preferred as beautiful lady. I asked him about that here. I'm like, what? Instead of him hiding in the background, I'll let Carl explain that one.
Just for that, Roy, next time I see you, I'll have a big batch of spam brownies for you. How's that?
Is that the day, Jeffro, the Marine Corps birthday?
November 10. He's
jumping the gun, huh?
Wishing me happy birthday a few days early. Now, but look, man, it's kind of like the 12 days of Christmas. The whole month of November, Marine Corps, Marines, we occupied. I mean, we're Marines. We do what we want.
That's what Jeffro just said. Heck, you guys can have a party anytime.
Exactly.
Hey, David, good to see you, buddy. Hope Tennessee's treating you well tonight. So, I did some research, and granted, I looked at multiple things on this, on Shalwyn. It's pronounced Shalwyn in Gaelic. It is a pagan religious festival, origin from an ancient Celtic spirit tradition in modern times, Samhain, a Celtic word pronouncing Samhain. It is usually celebrated October 31st to November 1st. to welcome in the harvest and usher in the dark half of the year. Cool, huh? Hey, Beth, good to see you. Nice one, Dave. Good to see you, Leon and Dylan. Alrighty. We got a few people in the chat, Carl.
Good to see him. I was supposed to host SCV chat. I think it was last week, and I had something come up. I can't remember what it was, but had to bow out. So yeah, I'm kind of hadn't been on any of these in a while.
Well, I'm glad I'm the first one.
Yeah, what Roy was talking about, beautiful lady.
Yeah.
I had one of those fake profiles comment on one of my posts a couple of weeks ago. It said, "Beautiful lady, I would like to get to know you better." And I'm sitting there going, what part of my profile picture did he look at and think that I'm female?
Whoa.
I mean, I'm assuming that whoever this person is, they're blind, maybe. I don't know.
That's funny. Alrighty. So what's going on with AOT?
Well, we got we're heading into the time of year things slow down a little bit. We do have the Captain Works Memorial coming up. The Georgia Division, they do that every year at the Andersonville. I have not been to it. I'm planning actually on going this year. It's in 2 weeks. It's November 12th.
Wow.
On a Sunday. I have heard it's an outstanding event. In fact, I think Roy Hudson may have been to it. I want to say, I think somebody told me, maybe he told me that he had been to it, or maybe he's going to it this year. He can tell us on that in the comments. But I've never actually been to it, so I'm tentatively hoping to go. I got to work it into my schedule. I got to rearrange a couple things between now and next week to be able to go. But other than that, between now and the end of the year, I can't. I'm not sure of any other major events that are going on. That would be division wide or big events. We do have. I do want to remind everybody, May 4th at Columbia, Tennessee. We have that's going to be at the headquarters. It'll actually be at Elm Springs at the house. We have the Army of Tennessee workshop that's going to be put on. That also coincides with the pilgrimage that will be going on the same day. This is going to be a great event. If you make it. If you're going to come, you need to get signed up, register for it now, because I think we have a limited seating of about 65 people. Wow. I think that's all we can hold in that room. If we get 65 there, I'll be really happy. But we're gonna talk about camp growth. We're gonna talk about community relations. We're gonna talk about things that can that we've seen work in successful camps over the years. And it's going to be it's always good. The fellowship alone is worth coming to these events for, because even if you don't take anything away from the speakers, which you will, but let's say even if you don't, you're going to get the opportunity to kind of mingle with other people from other camps, from other areas of the Army, and steal ideas from them, trade ideas off. I'm a big proponent. If you got a camp, somewhere in your division or in another division that is maybe they got a similar situation to yours, maybe they got similar demographics or what have you, and they're successful and you're not, well, why would you not want to sit down and talk to them and find out what they're doing? Okay, so in addition to speakers, that is the type of thing that these events offers. But we have done these, for Jimmy and I have been putting them on together since been at least the last 4 years. There was a time when the Army put them on regularly every year in Birmingham, Alabama. And I remember early on when I first joined the SCV, the first one I went to, Terry Beasley, who's now down your way in Florida, was AOT commander, and he put them on. And I went to the one in Birmingham. Actually, my camp hosted it, and I thought, man, this is just a fantastic event. We had people from all over, from Indiana, Florida, everywhere that came to it. And but at some point they dropped off, and I'm not sure when. They didn't put them on for a couple of years. I know Kelly Barrow held them for a couple of years, also in Birmingham. And but at some point they dropped off. And then when I was chief of heritage operations, Paul Gramling was lieutenant commander in chief, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to do a recruiting event, one in each army. What if we did recruiting in the morning and then heritage operations in the afternoon? You come along, I'll take the morning, you take the afternoon." I said, "I'm in, let's do it." So we did one in Texarkana, and then we did another one at Henry Horton State Park up in close to Chapel Hill, Tennessee. And the AOT had not had one in a few years. It had been a while, and so we kind of got them restarted. And then when Jimmy became Army councilman and Jason Boshears was Army commander, they kind of started them back. And then Jimmy and I have carried that on. I think they are, I think they're vitally important to, and the thing is, if you've got a camp that's struggling for whatever reason, I mean, it may be in recruiting, it may be in getting your dues in on time, it may be in any number of things, but for whatever reason, you're not growing, you're not retaining, then those are the camps that need to be at these meetings. Unfortunately, they're often the ones we're the least likely to see there. But if we want to have a healthy organization, and let me back up and say this, if we want to win, if we want to defeat this onslaught of PC nonsense that has been leveled against us for so many years, we must have a healthy SCV. We must, because the SCV is the tip of the spear in fighting back against this stuff. For us to have a healthy SCV, we have got to have healthy camps. It's that simple. We've got to have numbers. We've got to have activism. We got to have people involved in what we're doing. It's not just a matter of let's see how many members can I get signed up in my camp. That camp has got to have a purpose. That means each member's got to have a purpose. And that purpose is embedding yourself in the local community and combating the anti-South, anti-Confederate narrative that we face. I was on the phone today for a good while with past Commander-in-Chief Chuck McMichael. We were talking about some of this stuff. I mean, think about it. The Southern accent is disappearing right now. It is. It's disappearing. Because people, youngsters, and Chuck brought this up, and it's a great point. I had noticed it myself. I'd never thought of the cause of it, but young people today, they're watching more TV, they're watching more YouTube, and so what's happening? Their dialect is kind of transforming into this Midwest, bland Midwest type of dialect where there's no accent. And that means our accent, that's part of our culture, the way we talk. It's part of our culture. It's disappearing. There's a number of cultural issues that are being taken over. And if we lose our culture, we lose the South. We lose everything. So it is of extreme importance that your camp is successful. And for it to be successful, you've got to have people. You've got to have people committed to our cause, to vindicating, what the Confederate soldier fought for. We've got to be embedded in our communities. We need to appear in our communities like any other civic organization. We should not be viewed any differently from the Kiwanis Club or the Lions Club or any of these other organizations. And we can make inroads that way. We have a much better chance of succeeding in beating back this sort of silent revolution that's going on, that's being held against us right now. That was my dog busting through the door. I didn't know what I was hearing behind me. That's my German Shepherd coming in to see what's up in here. So, but yeah, camp growth and camp retention are of supreme importance. They are to the organization, and the organization is vital to the success, to the survival of our traditions, of our culture. If the SCV goes away, and on a broad scale or a local scale, either one, we lose ground.
Yep.
If it goes away on a local scale, we lose ground. If it goes away as an organization, forget it. There will be nothing, no entity that is as well organized and as well manned as we are that will be fighting. You'll have a bunch of splinter groups that will frankly be unsuccessful, and we lose our traditions.
Yeah, because I had a camp member this week talked about exactly that. He's fourth or fifth generation down in the Everglades, and he was just talking about that. His family's traditions and cultures, mixed in with other families, are slowly disappearing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling Chuck today, I said, I remember my great grandmother, and she was born in 1901, died in 1995. I was 27 years old when she passed away. And I can hear her voice to this day, and she had this distinct aristocratic Southern accent. It was like Scarlett O'Hara on steroids,
Right.
And today we might say, hey, would you like a glass of water? When she said it was like, would you like a glass of water? It was that elegant, aristocratic Southern accent. Back then, there were a lot of people that spoke that way, and they could read the telephone book to you, and it sounded like poetry. But you don't hear that dialect anymore. It's gone almost. I mean, you'll hear traces of it in certain parts of the South, but by and large, it's gone.
Yeah.
I was telling Chuck too, if you want to see the Yankee invasion of America, of the South, go to any town throughout the South, and you'll have what is generally going to be called the historic district. And the historic district in my town might look differently from the historic district in another town 30, 60, 80 miles down the road, because it was built according to local culture. It was a reflection, so to speak, of local culture. But what do small towns look like today? They all look the same. You drive through one, you've seen them all. What you've got is a 5-lane highway that's lined with strip malls, used car lots, fast food joints, and pawn shops. You know what that is? That is Yankee America. It's all about the money. They don't give a rat's rear end about the local culture. They don't care about the battlefield. They don't care about, any historic properties that might be in your local area. Only you care about that. Yankee America doesn't give a rip about that. What they want to know is, how do we make money off of this?
Yep.
And that is what we're up against. They're bulldozing, literally and figuratively both, bulldozing our entire culture. So all of that to say, you know, this organization, the SCV, absolutely must be successful if we want to hand down to our kids and grandkids and great grandkids what I think is the greatest culture that's ever existed, and have them grow up with the traditions and the life and the community and the philosophies that we grew up with. And I don't want to rob them of that, and I don't want to see them robbed of that. So we must be successful as an organization, and that means that you must have a vital or a good positive presence in your local community.
Yeah. Carl, our division commander Calvin asked a question. I don't know if you saw that.
What do we know about a division heritage promotion officer? I know that each division should have one. I assume we're talking about heritage operations chairman for each division. But whether you do or not, I mean, in my mind, the division commander is kind of in charge of that. He can appoint somebody like, here's your job, here's your job description, go out and get this done. But generally speaking, the division commander sets the agenda for the division and determines what he wants to accomplish over his tenure. And so at the end of the day, he is the in charge of the heritage, and that don't mean he's going to go out and do everything himself. It just means that, it's kind of his agenda that office needs to follow. And I'm hopefully I answered Commander Hart's question there.
Trying to go back and see if we had any more questions. Well, David, to your question, you're right. The only time I'm hearing the accent is when I turn on MeTV and listen to Andy Griffin. Alrighty. Come on, guys. We got Carl today. Ask questions. He's not shy.
I actually am. I just hide it well.
Yeah. I thought with Halloween you probably been dressed up or something.
Normally I've got a hot plate set up on my front porch, and I fry up eggs and grits for the trick or treaters.
There's our division commander. This is a Kennedy thing talking about in the Confederate magazine.
Yeah, I think what they want is a point of contact in each division for heritage promotions, heritage operations. I'm not sure what the details are on that. We do the same thing. Each Army's got a heritage operations team, heritage promotions, heritage defense. And then I think they want to filter that down to the division so that there's basically kind of a heritage operations committee in each Army. As you know, and basically you're going to have a guy that his job is within the division is to kind of keep an eye out on what's going on within the division, where are battles, where are threats that may be coming against us, that sort of thing. But the promotion aspect of it is really what I think is most important. I think that, we need to go on the offensive on some of this. And by offensive, I don't necessarily mean, I'm not talking about going out and standing armed guard on monuments and that sort of thing. What I mean by going on the offensive is going out and promoting who we are, who our people are, what we're really all about, and doing so from a positive point of view. If that makes sense. I mean, I think that promoting the SCV in the local community long term is going to give us a better chance of success, as an organization. Once people see, especially in small towns, especially in rural, the rural South, once people see who we are, they tend to be less standoffish towards us, and we take back a lot of ground that way. So I think that Heritage Promotions, that at the division level, that would kind of be their wheelhouse in terms of, okay, here's the agenda, here's what we want to accomplish, and let's go out and do it. I haven't specifically talked to Ron or Donnie on that, but I think that's going to be at least somewhat in line with what they're referring to.
Yeah. Hopefully they make sense, sir.
Well, it did to me.
Right. It did to me too. So alrighty.
One of the things too, and I don't want to give a campaign spill here necessarily, because I am running for Army Commander. But one of the things that I've got, and I actually, Calvin was the first one I spoke with about this. I've now spoken with 3 or 4 other division commanders, but Calvin was the one I first mentioned this to. Y'all may not notice, by the way, me and him pick on each other, but we're actually pretty good friends. But, kind of for years, the role or the what people have expected out of the Army officer was Army commander, Army councilman, what have you, was, we want you at our division reunion. We want you to show up at our events. Well, I've got a question. How does my showing up at your reunion help you? I mean, you get to see my smiling face, but what exactly does that do for you, as a division? So I intend to change that up a little bit. I want to bring something to the divisions. I still want to visit them. But what I want to do is, right now we're holding one workshop a year. And, like this one coming up is going to be in May in Tennessee. I want to hold one per division. So over the course of 2 years, I'd like to have, a workshop maybe in 3 or 4 divisions, and then the next year, 3 or 4 other divisions. So, we got to coordinate these with the division commander, find out where's the best location going to be. And I want to really emphasize for division commanders, division officers, brigade commanders, to look at your camps that are struggling. And sometimes that they may be struggling and they don't want to, they want to grow. Well, they're the ones that need to be there. Get them there. We need to push for this. Okay. But I think that's going to be the key to growth is, if we get the camp functioning in a manner that people want to come to the meetings monthly, it's a good time. They enjoy being there. There's fellowship. They learn something. They get the opportunity to be around like-minded people. That's the key to camp growth. If you're recruiting into a dysfunctional camp, you're beating your head against a wall. Okay. You can have the best recruiting efforts in the world, but if they come into your camp meeting and your camp meeting is dysfunction, they're not coming back. Simple as that. So we've got to kind of educate some of our camps on these things, on how to grow and how to maintain their membership and their standing in the community. And I think that we can grow the Army and grow the divisions and grow the entire organization by doing that. So, if I'm elected and plus whoever my councilman. We got 2 running for councilman. That's Roy, as y'all know, and then Connor Bond in Mississippi. Whichever one of them, that the membership decides to elect, I plan on incorporating them into this. They're part of the mission. Let's take this message of growth and let's take this plan out on the road, take it to the camps. To me, that's a lot more beneficial than me showing up at your division reunion, shaking hands and kissing babies and that sort of thing. So that's kind of my plan. I saw Calvin Hart as there a simple explanation of the Kennedy's Legion. He's referring to the Confederate Legion. Yes, there is. The simple explanation there, when that plan first came about, the plan for it was, and to my knowledge, it has not changed. It's not a separate entity from the SCV. What it's designed to do is a funding mechanism for the SCV's agenda. Ron and Donnie's idea was if we could get 1,000 members in each army to donate $50 a year, that would be $150,000 that we could put towards fighting heritage battles, towards promoting our heritage, towards defending our heritage, what have you. So it's not a separate organization. When they say recruit people into the Confederate Legion, they're not saying, well, join this instead of the SCV. We want you to do both. What we're asking you to do with the Confederate Legion is to, say, yeah, I'm going to join the SCV. I'm committed to our heritage. I'm also going to donate $50 per year, a little less than $5 a month per year to go towards initiatives that we have. So let's say, there's a monument in Naples, Florida, and they're about to, the city council is going to try to take it down. All right, well, you got this pool of money that we can go in there and run various types of advertising, whether it's targeted social media, newspaper, whatever, radio, whatever. And we can go in there and try to use that to get the public on your side, to stand up basically and voice against the removal of these monuments. So that's what it started out as. And it's pretty much what it is still, as far as I know. I have not heard any differently from that. So I was probably one of the earliest members of it, and I donated just about, I think, every year since they started it, which was back in 2018, I guess. 2018, I think, is when they kicked it off. So I support it. I think that there are a couple of things that we can do to improve on it and make it a little more simplistic, a little more understandable. We'll see.
I like that answer, Carl. Now, I have a question. What is Jimmy Hill's plan? Oh, wait. Calvin just typed in.
To my knowledge, the Legion funds go to HQ. They go to headquarters. And as far as who determines where they go, I do not know the answer to that off the top of my head. I would say that it falls under the tenure or the authority of the Chief of Heritage Operations. That's a good question. I wish I could give you a direct answer to it. I think that's where it goes. And so it would be similar to donating to the Heritage Defense Fund, but you really need to ask Ron or Donnie that question, because I'm not 100% certain on the answer.
Yeah, Ronnie's planning on being on the show on the 14th.
Good.
Yep. So you'll be able to ask him. Yeah. No, I have not been drinking. Just worn out. Before because I had this question in my head, Carl. What is Commander Hill's plans? Is he going to think about moving forward up the chain of command, or is he just going to take a break for a while?
Jimmy doesn't take breaks, but he's not.
We know that.
He'll swear up and down he's going to, but Jimmy and I have been working together since 2008. There's almost never been a week that has gone by that he and I have not talked at least once or twice, sometimes several times a day. And over the years, he's told me any number of times, well, I'm gonna take a break, and he never does. He finds another way to stay involved. I mean, his heart is in what we're doing, 1,000%. He's quiet about it. Jimmy's one of those guys that he doesn't ask for any accolades or recognition. He just does what he does, and a lot of times he does things behind the scenes that nobody even knows he did them. But as far as him moving up the ladder, I do not believe, he has any aspirations towards that. He's actually running for first lieutenant commander of the Alabama division.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so he's been first lieutenant commander before for 4 years, and then he was division commander for 2 years, and now he's coming back and running for first lieutenant commander again in Alabama, which I 100% wholeheartedly support.
Cool. But he's still going to help out with the museum and the path that's created, right?
I'm sure on some level he will. I think he's kind of in charge of that the committee now. They had him on the timeline committee.
Right.
And he did a great job of kind of orchestrating all of that, getting the timeline written. And there were several of us that, kind of chipped in and wrote stuff for him. And he orchestrated all of it. He did all the hard work. All we had to do was write opinions and historical facts and that sort of thing. And then, so that the timeline is pretty much done. So he moved on now. He's involved in getting shelving and displays and things of that nature put in. And I guess once that's completed, which it may or may not ever be, I don't know, but I would assume until it is, he would still be involved in that regard. But that's, again, that's a good question. I don't know 100% what the answer is. Jimmy, he's one of those guys who kind of, he sees a need and he'll fill it. If he can kind of lend his energy and intellect to it, he's generally all in on it. So
cool. Okay. That's right. That's right, Jeffro. We have the Florida Mechanized Cavalry meetup in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Calvin. Coming from Calvin, that means a lot. I appreciate you saying that, buddy.
That's the thing with Calvin. I came up with this idea. I ran it by my lieutenant commander, and he told me to talk to Calvin. And Calvin supports this program 100%.
Well, I think you do a great job at it, Florida man. I do.
I tell you what, I try. Every week's different because you don't know what's going to happen. If something's got to reschedule or.
Well, you got to be truly dedicated to do something like this, man. I don't believe in ADD, but if I did believe in it, I'd be pretty sure I have it. And I'm one of those that I get this great idea and I'll get it 75% completed. And then I think, wait a minute, I got a better idea. And so to come on every week and host a show and line up guests and all that, and
Yeah.
and you do this for no pay, and so you got to be really dedicated in what we're doing.
Well, you touched on a subject about community involvement, right? I have a guest speaker that will be coming on the show. She's a retired historian for for Lee County, Florida. We just right now we're working on setting a date for her to come on. Can't get any better than community involvement than that.
That's right.
Leadership. Oh, okay, Kim. Yeah, I know you do, Roy, and I know Kim does. Everybody that's in the chat does. Come on, we got Coral. Hit him with questions. Calvin's been asking them.
Kim Hoffacker says she looks forward to seeing me at the Lee Jackson in January. I will be there.
Yes, sir, you will be.
You know, as Calvin says, I know it's like 10 hours down the road, but really it's only 2 turns. You know, I jump on I-65, head south, turn left on I-10, and boom, I'm there.
Wow.
10 hours later.
You know what? If it only takes you 10 hours, I think I can do it too.
I think it's a little less than that. I think it's actually 8.5 or 9. But the way I drive, it's 10. Because I kind of get in the right lane and just let everybody pass me. I'm in no hurry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're the one everybody's beeping at and giving the finger.
No, that's the guy in the left lane. I get in the right lane. If I'm in the right lane poking along, you got nothing to complain about. The left lane is the passing lane.
Boy, time flies, man. Shit, I just looked at the time. Holy crap, it's flying.
Yeah, I'm gonna when I speak at the Lee Jackson banquet for Kirby Smith, man. I mean, I pretty much already know what my speech is going to be, but you know, I'm kind of like the preacher. I can come at the subject any number of different ways, but guess what? We're still always going to wind up in the same place. The South was right. Period. No matter how I get there, that's where we're going. So,
right.
It was funny. I spoke at a SD Lee Institute in Birmingham 4 or 5 years ago, I guess. I've spoken at a couple of them, but that was the first one. You know, I always get accused of being long-winded, but somebody took that to heart because the other speakers got 40 minutes, and I think they gave me like an hour and a half or something.
Well, I know your feeling because I've heard that myself to me from various different people in the chat.
I don't know what they told the you know, it was Chris Sullivan. I don't know what they told him. Like, you might as well go ahead and give him an hour because I don't feel if you tell him 30 minutes, he's going to go over. He's, you know, but that's not true, man. I'm not really long-winded. I'm just thorough. I'm very thorough.
You should be. You're a Marine. So, how's the are they? No, they're in the AMV, the secession camp, right?
Yeah, in South Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
in
going to
the-
ask you if you heard anything on the national reunion, how that was coming or anything.
No, I have not, but I've been to a reunion that they hosted before in 2014, and I thought they did a great job on it, you know. So I've got high hopes. Charleston's a great place to visit.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome place to visit. There's a lot to do there, a lot of great restaurants around there. But yeah, I mean, they're not having it in the same place this year. I don't think the same hotel or anything, but it was a great reunion. I didn't have any complaints about it at all. So
as long as somebody doesn't get drunk and walk down Main Street with a sword.
no comment.
No comment. That's right. I knew that was coming. Well, there will be spam. GCB, just for you, I'm going to bring you 2 cans of spam. You want it fried or boiled?
Connor is referring to back 6 or so years ago. We were at a meeting at headquarters. There may or may not have been adult libations in my system. And I called him at 3 a.m. and said, "Hey, buddy, can you drive me over to the Shell station to get some spam?" I wanted a midnight snack. So, like every reunion after that, he and his dad would bring me spam. The last reunion that his dad, Chuck, went to, I believe it was Mobile. I walked into the meeting and Chuck comes up to me and he reaches into a bag. The very first words out of his mouth, "Here's your spam."
But tell me the story. How did the Vienna sausages come about?
I don't know. That's I'm not sure what you're referring to.
The Vienna sausages. Okay, I asked GCB on that one.
Oh, you're talking about the Vienna sausage bar that
the little hot dog.
Yeah. Thomas Franklin was doing that. You'd have to ask him that. I don't know.
Okay. As soon as I see him.
We don't know what camp that guy's in, what army he's in, or anything. We don't know anything about him, but he's very dedicated. Huh?
He may just show up like 4 days afterwards, right?
He was in Cartersville, apparently. But he was doing Connor can straighten us out on it. He was doing a Vienna sausage bar to raise money for the election of Jason Boshears to Commander-in-Chief. But he decided to hold it like the day after the reunion ended.
Okay.
Don't ask me, man. I don't know. He's an eclectic guy.
It was 3 a.m. when you woke up GCB?
Yeah.
I've been on those nights.
Yeah, Jeffro can tell you. We lived off spam and hot sauce in the Marine Corps. Now you take that spam, just cut it up into chunks, drizzle hot sauce all over it, boom, you're good to go.
Yep.
It's better than anything they serve in the chow hall.
I grew up in a military family, so I know.
What branch?
Army, Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay, well, I can't say, but if it's Army or Navy, don't talk about their chow halls. I've been to all of them, man. The Air Force has got, their chow halls are not chow halls. They're country clubs. I mean, they got the best food. I mean, they got awesome food. The Navy's is not bad either. The Army's a little bit better than the Marine Corps, but
okay.
Yeah, the Army's not bad, but the Air Force,
you're eating a 5-course meal then.
It's more than that. I mean, you get whatever you want and just sit down in these padded chairs, and they got the football game on the TV, and You know, when I was with 4th Marine Regiment, we were in a room made out of cinder blocks, and you go through and basically they tell you, now you can have this or you can have that. Get it and get out of my line. You know? The Burger King mentality was not there. You do not get it your way.
You get it their way.
Right. But hey, look, it's all better than what our from what I've read about what our ancestors ate. I remember reading a story about some of Forrest troopers. They had run a bunch of Yankees, chased them, and down through North Alabama. And it was on the Forrest Strait raid, and some of their mules, the mules ran off into a river, and the Yankees just got up on foot and took off running. And our boys, you know, Forrest boys, recovered some of their food that had mule hair all in it, and they ate it anyway and said, well, hey, it's better than anything the old man serves us. Mule hair and all, it was still better.
I can see that, Kim. I can see that. Kim, where's Jimbo? Surprised he hasn't tuned in yet. Mike hair. I'm not even going to ask GCB.
Mule hair, I think, is what he meant.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, what do Yankees know about food? You know, again, going back to the culture thing we're talking about, yeah. I mean, where's the best food in the world come from?
South.
The South?
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and that's the thing, because our ancestors actually, our ancestors, when we had the supply trains, the carts and the trains running, our ancestors did eat pretty decent up to that point.
Oh. They, there was a saying, David Hackard Fisher said this in his book, Albion Seed. Yankees eat, Southerners dine. You know, it was an ordeal. It was when you sat down for dinner, which is what the Southerners called lunch. That was right. Generally the big meal of the day, and they'd serve 5, 6, 7, 8 courses or more, all brought in one at a time. And it would be, you know, roasted ham, baked ham, fried chicken, what have you. I actually got to experience that once. It was pretty cool. Years ago, back about 23 years ago, because my wife was actually pregnant with Sam, with my 23-year-old. And I had a business trip to Williamsburg, Virginia. And she went with me, and they put on a traditional 18th century Virginia meal for us. And so they came in, and they had what would look like tablecloths. They wrapped those around you and tied them in the back. That was your apron, so you didn't spill any food on yourself. And they would start you out with your first course was something light. In our case, it was peanut soup, which actually is not bad, believe it or not. It's kind of like, liquid cooked peanut butter. I liked it. I like peanut butter. So, and then they would bring out another dish. It might be cabbage or what have you. And then, then they bring out fried chicken, but they're constantly moving. Another thing I remember about that is, so they would, they would bring the stack of dishes. So you got 7 or 8 people sitting at one table. They'd bring out 8 plates, and they would hand one to one person, and his job was to put the food on that plate and then pass it around until he would be the last one to eat, basically. And it was like the way that they approached food back then in the South. It was an event, and this was daily. This was a daily thing. Of course, unless you were in the back country, perhaps, but we're talking, the aristocratic, hierarchical, cavalier culture type of thing. So yeah, Yankees eat, Southerners dine. Contrarily, in the South, you barbecue. Barbecue actually originated, like we think, in Spain, but Southerners perfected it. And again, it was as much, it was a process as much as it was just an eating experience. I mean, even up into the 60s and 70s, Southern barbecue in Virginia and the Carolinas and all was cooked over coals, over a bed of coals, direct heat, and you'd have to stay up all night long monitoring the heat. And so you're talking, if you got a big rack of pork roast, I mean, you might be cooking them 12, 15 hours over an open pit with coals shoveled in, and that sort of thing. Contrarily, in New England, they didn't really put a lot of emphasis on what they ate or how it was prepared. It was just there to fill you up and get you on back into making money, because we're all about money, I guess. So a typical New England meal in the 18th century would be boiled meat, stale bread, and baked beans. And I'm not talking about Southern baked beans. I'm talking about just bland beans put into water, thrown in the oven, and baked. So it was kind of like, hey, get in here, get your bellies full, and get your tail back out there and work. That was their approach to food. Mm-hmm. Where with us, it's a like I said, it's an event.
Yeah, because I remember back when I was a kid, I remember trying to stay up all night with my dad, doing a pig roast. And not what it is today. You had the machinery in that. No, you stuck the pick in from one end to the other, and you're
on a spit.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to see one cooked in the ground. You remember the Hank Jr. song? Are you ready? What's the name of it? Anyway, Hank Jr. came out with that song, I Got a Pig in the Ground, Some Beer on Ice.
Oh, yeah.
He eventually became Are You Ready for Some Football, but it was something else before that. I can't remember the name of the song. They would, dig out a pit in the ground. And again, it's kind of like you're going to shovel coals under it, but then they put kind of a cover over the top of it. Maybe, today would be probably made out of tin or something like that. I guess probably the same back then, but they'd cook that thing in the ground. And I went to a 4th of July party in 1988 over right outside of Tupelo, Mississippi. It was a buddy of mine. It was his family. And he took about 4 or 5, 6 of us over there to hang out with his family for 4th of July weekend, his uncles and his granddad and dad and all of them. And we got there, man, they had this huge pig on the fire. They'd been cooking that thing all night long. It was about 20 hours, 24 hours that they cooked this thing. Again, there may or may not have been adult libations involved. And they wanted to eat while they were cooking. So one of them said, well, I got some deer meat in the freezer. So they threw some deer meat in there to snack on. And the more the alcohol compiled on top of, the more their alcohol intake increased. Hey, I got a raccoon in my freezer. I'll go get it. So they cooked the raccoon. One of them killed. I'm not kidding. I don't, condone cruelty to animals. One of them killed a yard cat, and they cooked it. I'm not kidding, 100%.
Wow.
I'm dead serious. They cooked a cat. But, it was kind of a glimpse of old backcountry Southern society. And this is in the 1980s. This isn't that long ago.
Right.
How many people do we have left today that know how to cook a pig in the ground? That's part of our culture.
Yeah.
It is. That's part of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't do that up north.
Yeah. Yeah. Skinning gators, snakes.
Yeah.
Doing a proper seafood boil.
Oh yeah. Again, a bit, and what's cool is that it's different in Florida than it is in Charleston, and it's different in Charleston or Florida than it is in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And they're all good. I mean,
yeah.
I like all of them.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Carl? Feel free to ask or hold your peace. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Carl, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show tonight. I enjoyed it. Hey. I don't know if Carl's going to be able to answer that one, GCB.
I'll call him after the show and ask him to explain to me what a square root is. Once I know that, then I'll try to give him an answer.
Yep.
I mean, all the roots I've cut up out of the ground have been circular.
Linda Hudson did say, when's the cookbook coming out?
Again, going back to me maybe potentially having ADD. All of my cooking exists in my head. I don't know that I have the patience to sit down and write it out. Bork, East Kadir to you, Connor, and Bork to you as well. That's an inside joke for another time.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
That's an inside joke for the reunion that's not on the air. I can't tell you the whole story.
As we all know, what happens at reunion stays at reunion.
There you go.
So that brings up to this. Start booking it now, guys. Florida Division reunion is June 1st. I know I'm going to be there, and I know many of you are going to be there, so start planning it now. Then we got national reunion in Charleston. So start planning now. It's close by. I've already looked it up. From down here in Naples, Florida, it's only 12 hours. I'm not going to say anything more than that because I don't want to incriminate myself. All right, guys. Love all you. Good to see all you. Let's end the show. I need to add more. All right. Roll the dice. And I know he's in the channel. He's probably going to message me soon.
My dad told me he always had a kinship to the battle flag. Always growing up, he knew there was something there, but he couldn't put it together. I called my 97-year-old grandmother, and I asked her, do we have any soldiers in the family? I gave her 3 descriptions. Verde, which means green, for modern-day soldier. Blue, azul, or gris, means gray. And she said, mijo, which means my son in Spanish, is gris. It was gray. My great-great-grandfather was named Andres Torres Rodriguez. He was born in Mexico. He was a laborer. And he was in 8th Texas Infantry. And his unit Later on, got incorporated to the Texas 33rd Cavalry under Santos Benavides, who was the highest Mexican-American Confederate officer. He was a colonel. There was over 13,000 Hispanic soldiers throughout the Confederate States, but out of those 13,000 were 2,500 Tejanos. And it's two words combined. Texas in Spanish is Tejas. Mexican in Spanish, Mexicano. You combine both words, Tejano. They contributed a lot for Southern independence. I think that they deserve respect, honor, and dignity under the Confederate flag that they fought for. There was people of color, Mexican people, and other Hispanics, and other people of color that fought in this war. Everyone's reason was different, but primarily they fought in this war for their independence and to protect their homeland. I joined the SCV because I'm extremely proud of my Confederate heritage. I have Confederate DNA. I just want to ensure that the present generation and future generations know and never forget the contributions of Hispanics in the War of Northern Aggression. I am Richard Luna Garcia, the great-great-grandson of Private Andres Torres Rodriguez, a Tejano Confederate soldier.
Thank you for joining the show tonight. Have a safe Shalloween or Halloween. And see you next Tuesday. Have a good night.